portraits of North Park define a place and a time. Each fabric is stained from the plants of the garden at Art Produce and the surrounding neighborhood of North Park in the time between February and April of this year. Annually, this is the time of transition from winter to spring, when last summer's herbs are overgrown and taking on a life of their own. The sour grass springs up after a winter rain, and the loquat trees start to bud with fresh fruit. As a global pandemic and widespread anxiety spread rapidly, this year looks and feels a lot different. There's an optimism that I felt in the portraits that has left, and a realism and immediacy that remain, or perhaps is born. In this uncertain time when people and places and things are judged as essential or non-essential for the safety of others, the portraits feel lost in between. To me, they were essential. They were energy-giving and joyful, and they defined a safe space to come to and feel like myself amongst them and the garden. They were my priority and friend for the better half of a month. The garden became a second home, a place I studied and became acquainted with. In a very genuine way, the portraits encapsulate a time before. Yet today, in the studio, they felt dishonest. As I ironed, cut, and layered the silks I had dyed, the process felt small, or non-essential in today's political terms. With each layer, I tried to reach back to that time a few weeks ago, to a place I liked better than today's place, a place that was more comfortable and easier than today's uncertainty. It felt like as I stacked in peace, the portraits looked back at me and laughed at my efforts to return. Today the fabric hangs a little heavier, but somehow the portraits feel urgent. Their immediacy asks us to pause, to breathe, to slow down and take in our place, the place we may very well be sequestered in until further notice. How can we give our attention to this place and this time? What can we gain from our neighborhood and our home in this forced, uncomfortable pause? Perhaps the portraits are now more essential than ever. Although the process of making feels uncomfortable and guilty in a time when others are working to save lives and provide essential food and resources to our community, it's all I can do to keep moving, to keep sane. The garden silently calls to be explored and foraged for color. It feels indulgent to accept the invitation, but I urge our collective anxiety to say yes. The portraits hang silently in isolation in a studio meant for visitors, community gatherings, and shared public experience. Now it's just me, their only visitor, and them. I want to take them outside to hang out beside lavender, to meet the bees at the basil and sit quietly as the doves rest in the dirt, to reacquaint them with the place that they came from and that they embody. It feels disingenuous to tour the portraits virtually. They so physically represent this place they are made of, from their smell to their physical weight beside you in the room. Instead, for now, I invite you to receive a piece of the portraits of North Park in the mail, a tangible piece of a project and a place, a reminder of the colors and the possibilities in our world, and the magic of the landscape that is the neighborhood right outside your door.